Good evening. It's July 14th. My God, it's mid-July. I hardly have gotten past March. April, May, June, July. Ah, yes, March 3rd. The anniversary of receiving our little puppy dog. Yeah, Honey, which is sleeping, right? If I could do it, sleeping right down there at my feet in a little circular bed made out of some kind of an inner tube and some shag carpet I got on Amazon. I got two of them. One from my this little studio. I mean, the dog follows me around like I'm a zookeeper, which is good. Yeah, that's a good thing. Anyway, so be that as it may, as they say. Oh, just well, it's Facebook. Yeah, all right. No, we are not gonna. You know, I warned everybody. I sent a message. Go to YouTube because it will. You know what the heck? It's. You know, there I am. I'm right in the middle. It's my little. I always start off with the day and the date, and it's a late evening edition. It's 11:49 p.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We have Marco Rubio sent up to Congress, you know, the order and whatever, you know, to Washington to sign off, to get congressional sign off on keeping, you know, this time right now permanent. No going back. No fall back. Just stay this way. No time change. But, you know, it's sitting there rotting away on someone's desk. I think it's in the senator's desk, but, you know, they're all busy doing other things. And, you know, anyway. So that's the message I sent everybody about 10 minutes ago saying, guess what? Jimmy's going live. Look at that, youtube.com. FAU for you. I need to there we go. I need to shrink this up a little bit so you can see the entire image that I'm looking at. And then, and behind door one, oh, no. And then here's my disclaimers, disclosures, warnings, notices, and cautions. The double D, WNC. Yeah, I got 7 little thingies here. I mean, it just basically says, we don't give advice. Do whatever the hell you want to do. I'm just yickety-yakketing for an hour or two or whatever. And, you know, just, what do they say? Giving free advice is usually worth the price. Nothing. We don't give advice. We're not CPAs. We're not licensed financial advisors. Be forewarned. I've just got a big mouth. I can talk for days. You know, I'm not tired. I'm having a beautiful. Oh, I have it right in my pocket. Yeah. This is it, if we can see it. Turn the lights up just a tad, and then you see that right there when it says breakfast blend? Yeah. Yep. Starbucks breakfast blend made for the Keurig. So this is the little Keurig cup. can hear it. You stick that in there, and it accepts. I can just get this 20-ounce tumbler right underneath my Cuisinart coffee maker. It was like 70 ounces of water. Yeah. Every couple of years, I buy a new one and just throw out the old one. I mean, it's never. I don't think it's ever failed to work. I just, I'm afraid they'll stop making the darn thing, and then what am I going to do? I got to use a different one. Anyway, it takes these things, and Marilyn drinks a different one. I didn't bring hers, but this way you can have your own choice of coffee. I can get down. I can take off the disclaimers now, can't I? Yep. Yeah, listen not live. So in my ongoing study of how to present statistics in Apple's Numbers program, Numbers app, which I use right here. Let me show you. I don't like to go here because it makes me nervous if I louse it up. Here we go. I'm going to touch it. Yeah, with the touch screen, it just makes me very nervous. There you go. There's the actual spreadsheet. I need to skinny it up here on my display so that you can see everything I see. That's about it. Let's see if I touch. See, there's. Now I can change that, which I don't want to, of course. But I mean, look at all the statistics. So, I don't type this. I copy it. I do a print screen right off the website, and I just paste it right in that block of space. I never knew, but for doing this test spreadsheet, with yellow and black, isn't that nice? And you go up like here, and the column captions are locked. And if I go this way, the lottery amount, the estimated jackpot to a single winner just gets right up there. So that way you can go across and look at all these different. I'll read and then the way in which you caption the columns. I've changed this several times, as recently as last week. There's a bunch of stuff on top. I said, get rid of that. I have a disclosure for the whole program. Instead of having it, I got to have a disclosure on every single exhibit. No, not according to, my attorneys. Anyway, so I started putting data into this spreadsheet on Friday. Look at that, December 3rd. So, it's not a full year. This particular, I picked, what is this called? Mega Millions, because it does twice a week. I didn't want to do Powerball. I don't even know if I've ever bought a Powerball ticket. I didn't do Powerball because it's 3 times a week. And I figured, this is annoying enough. So I'd just be annoyed Tuesday. Yeah, so that's it. So here I, grab these numbers off one of the pages in the Florida Lottery app that they have for iOS devices. And this, when I started this, oddly enough, on December 3rd, there it is. The lottery, you see it's growing. Yeah, 416, 534, 533. Someone won 533. One lucky soul. Can you imagine? They had 28 draws without a winner. The grand prize increased to over $500 million. Now, if you, winning $500 million is just like insane to actually think about. I've calculated here. The jackpot lump sum was estimated. Everything's estimated, right? No one knows. No one knows the exact dollar number except when they print the check. Then we know. But anyway, the estimated jackpot lump sum, $241 million. Now, of course, you got to pay tax because 37% of that goes to the IRS. Yep, it's gone. And then your checkbook shrinks. Actually, the 151,890,000 estimate of what the net would be after paying the 37% maximum tax. And this lottery that went 28 draws was 151 million. Can you imagine? Holy mackerel. And if you took the annuity, it'd be your first payment would be 8 million. A year from then, it's 5% bigger. It's a 5% growing annuity. This Mega Millions thing. I don't know if I'm not really a lottery, a lottery-aholic person. Back when we were living in Tampa, I won. I had 26 threes and 14 fours. We had four of the numbers. And the whole thing, ran up about $11,000 worth of winning tickets. I haven't really done it since, but it's like 20 years ago. Had to go somewhere over in the Tampa area to cash in the checks because, the old hand of Uncle Sam reaches out. And, all right, so we actually don't. It's midnight. Just for the heck of it, I'm going to look on my trusty iMaphone here to see. That's right. This is the only app open. Can't see it. The screen is so bright. Friday, July 17th, the lottery. What's going to happen on Friday? This is Wednesday morning at 12:01 a.m. How about that? You can see that right by the mic. See right here? And 11 seconds. Yeah. Unfortunately, my boom, the boom mic here is right on the way. You can see the 12, but you can, and the seconds, but you can't see the minutes. But if you look down here, I think this is angled up enough. So, oops, let's just go over a little bit. Oh my gosh. There we go. Every once in a while, I'd bump into this thing and that messes up the see 12:01 Wednesday morning. We can see that, right? Yeah. Yeah. Scotch tape is holding that up. This is a pretty rinky-dink outfit we got going here. It's going to take them, another hour. And see it. I'll check in 15 or 20 minutes. But it's usually like 12:30, 1 o'clock before they actually know, because they have to, this lottery business, at least the Mega Millions, I don't know whether it was like started in Florida. I mean, I don't know where it started somewhere else, but Florida's It's in their system. There are 223,000 lottery retailers located in 45 states, DC, and the Virgin Islands. So there are 47 different jurisdictions that are legally signed up to do, this Mega Million thing, including Florida. A lot of the states, some of the states, I don't know whether it's a majority or not. I don't know. Charge a tax on lottery, state tax. There's a federal tax. According to IRS rules, that any lottery winnings $600 or more must be reported to the IRS. How about that? So that means you gotta drive your butt over to a regional office of lottery headquarters. And then you present to them your winning ticket, because your local lottery retailer has no capability of withholding the 24% normal, withholding for small winnings. You get into the $1 million range, and I don't know what the cutoff is or how the IRS thinks about this, but if you win one of these jackpots that I'm looking at right here, like this one today, which is now tomorrow, but yesterday, yesterday's lottery, the July 14th at 11 p.m. when they drew the numbers, they drew 2, 4, 10, 48, 56. 22 being the Mega Millions number. Now, the odds of someone actually picking those numbers is 290 million to 1 against anyone winning that. Each drawing, like this is the 34th attempt to get a winner. You can see the jackpot to a single winner. You see all that? You see those numbers on the, there we go. On the left side of my educational spreadsheet here, I'm showing you. This is certainly not promoting gambling of any sort, because it's a waste of money. Because there's 290 million to 1 odds of not winning this jackpot. The chances of winning, like $3 or $4, you pay $5 for the ticket, I believe, with Mega Millions. $5. They changed it in April from $2 to $5. They changed the winning odds. They jiggled, now they have 70 balls instead of 72 balls. The Mega Millions, see the numbers on the right in black and red, white, and black. Black background with white numbers, like in this case, number 22. Whoops. See, there you go. You start playing with this thing. This is the actual spreadsheet. So just for further descriptions of anything about this, what I'm going to do is this is a print screen. Now this is actually a photograph, of the, let's see if I got everybody. Yeah. So this is a photograph of, see, you can't do that with a spreadsheet. can't turn it sideways like that with your fingers. I don't think. I've never tried it. But it's probably a good way of lousing it up. But I can do a print screen and then trim, crop it and whatever you want to do to it. So you can see only this much of the panel. You can't see this. There's 30 payment columns here. But let's see, what is it? It goes to the fourth. You see up on the top there, it says first payment, second payment, third payment, fourth payment. Yeah. Payment's supposed to be capital P and small there, and I got to change that just for consistency. All right, let's go do it. This is, I'm showing you people how to play with a spreadsheet. I added ratio there. You see the ratio right smack in the middle there on the top in black letters in the yellow. Ratio, because as you can see there, the ratio between the winning estimated jackpot to a single winner to what the lump sum would be. If you go back through history of what that, it's about 43%. I updated the number to 43.65. 43.65%. In other words, the estimated winning is 278 million on a $637 million lot. I mean, his numbers are like mind-blowing. If you divide one by the other, you end up with 0.4365. And if you do it in percent, it's 43.65%. Yeah. It's just a formula. It's just so when the lottery comes up at 637, when the state of Florida says the estimated jackpot to a single winner is 637, that is one of the few numbers I actually type on this. Everything else, almost, I think. Yeah, everything else is automated. That 278 million is calculated using that 43.65 ratio. That's why the word ratio is up on the top. And that's being applied to the jackpot to a single winner. And that there's a formula embedded underneath that 278 million. I think is my whoop. Let's see if we can go back to. Oh yeah, I have to go to the. Yeah. So now I'm in. Yeah, I'm in trouble now. I'm in the actual spreadsheet for this thing. Makes me nervous because this is how you louse up a spreadsheet when you're live broadcasting here. So fourth payment, the word payment should be, see right there, fourth payment. I double click it. There we go. Triple click it. Sometimes my fingers don't register. P-A-Y-N-E-N-T. There we go. Now it's upper and lower case. So that's, see, fourth payment, third payment, second, and first. First, second, third, fourth. And then the number 5, I figured, you get the joke. And by the time we get to the end of this, I might as well show you this. And go all the way, there's 30 payments. And you get the first check on day 1. So on July 14th, that's yesterday, yep. That's 630. Don't touch anything. This one right here, yeah, that's 600. There you go. Look at that. You get annual payments. Look at this, the 27 payments, 34 million, 35 million, 37 million, 39 million. Those are huge payments. Now, in this particular case, the $637 million lottery, if they followed my spreadsheet, they would have been underpaid $192,000. So you just simply add $192,000 to that $39 million. You know, all this stuff is rounded to the nearest. You know, you can't pay a half a penny. So the 49s drop down and 50 and above go up a click. Well, when you do that over 29 years and 30 payments, you know, the thing, it goes, you know, sometimes, you know, what I did is I also changed. Anyway, so that's what that red number means. Because you see what the lottery is, 637 million. Well, you know, that's the estimate. If the estimate turned out to be the actual, in my scenario, 636,808,000, and there's rounding going on, you know. So I would have underpaid the jackpot winner. Now, believe me, the lottery people are not calling me. I've never spoken to them, quite frankly, and they are not taking my advice or anything. This is strictly a statistical presentation. I graduated with a math minor in college, so math and displays, and, you know, I'm just displaying lottery statistics because it's publicly available. You can see what I've got here, and you can go check it out. You go to, you know, wherever state. This is the state of confusion. No, I mean, this is the state of Florida. And that's it. I got that. I just did a print. I did a print screen right off the face of my iPhone, and picked up those red numbers and trimmed it and so forth. I can go. All right, so we're getting out of this this Mega Million thing with my my numbers app, because I get if you know, with touchscreen on this is an iPad with touchscreen. Yeah, well, you got to be very careful, because if you got a Roman hand and Russian fingers like I have, you do not want to take the risk of. Gee, let's see. I'm going to close this. Yeah, it's done. I changed it so the payment in see, fourth payment, the word payment is all capital letters, but the other ones are not. So I went in there and changed that. I just went right into the header of this spreadsheet, so that the word payment is upper and lowercase with a capital P. Anyway, notice that the annual annuity for the next payment grows at 5% per year, pre-tax. In other words, the federal tax, I have not taken that out because, you know, I mean, there's such a huge array of calculations here. I didn't, you know, for some reason or other, the tax rate went up to 39% instead of 37%. I got to, you know, change all those numbers, and I, you know, the heck with it. So I just show you the gross amount that the annuity would be. And I've also rounded it, which has caused a little inaccuracy. If I do it to the nearest $10, it's, you know, the lottery results with my spreadsheet as opposed to reality is, you know, real close, you know, plus or minus a couple $100. But since I did rounding to the nearest 1,000, this first annuity payment, $9,588,000, Well, you see up above in the shaded, it's 7,360,150. I rounded to the nearest $10, and I figured, you know what? Do they really? Do the people, including myself, do we really need to know that $213 million lottery, the annuity payment was $7,360,000 and $150? Is that? Does anyone really give a crap? Whether it's 15 or not. Or so I changed it so that 9,588,000 is rounded to the nearest 1,000. Now, underneath that 9,588,000 is a very complicated formula. It took me 2 or 3 weeks to dig it up, figure out how to take the formula, which is I really need to find that so you can see it, but I'm not going to try to find it tonight because it's 12:18 a.m. and it's. I took a picture of it. It's in my photo album, and I said I'd show it to you, and I will, but it's not going to be today because I forgot to go look for it. I did it this year, obviously, because I started doing this December 3rd of last year. Yep. Anyway, so I've decided that 9,588,000 is going to be to the nearest 1,000. I verified with another lottery, someone that publishes some numbers. Let's see, where do I find that? My photo album. Yeah. Let's get out of this one. Let's go to here it is. No, oh yeah. So now this is, I gleeped this off the lotteryusa.com, whoever those people are, but they've calculated the gross payment. See that? 9,587,764. So since I'm rounding to the nearest 1,000, that would round up to 9,588,000. And what do I have in my 9,588,000? See it right there? Yeah. Because I didn't want to bother showing, they don't show pennies here either. But then they go in and they show you the federal tax, and then they show, you get 6,077,000 after the federal tax of, I guess they're using 37%. There is no state tax because we're in Florida. So since I checked off Florida, they didn't attempt to put a tax in there. But there are a lot of states that charge you, a tax, an income tax on lottery winnings. Florida's not one of them. Florida doesn't have a income tax on anything. Even your annual earnings are not taxed by the state of Florida. No. Some states do. I think New York is, it's like 10%, 11%, 15%, 13%, whatever. Whatever the legislature of your state has decided, how much of your lottery winnings do they want to tax? You heard the expression that, states with taxation has legs. And what they mean by that is the critics, the people that write stories and, television or print media or digital media. What they mean is that if the taxes get too high in your state, people will move out of your state. They'll move. They'll pack up their stuff and whoosh, they'll hightail it to a state like Florida, for example, because look at that whole column of zeros. There is no, I did a print screen here, covered 17 years, and I checked my results with their result. Every payment after the first one is is 5% bigger than the one before it. And you can just take any two of these and subtract one from the other and then divide it by the first one. And it should be, I mean, the second number would be 105% bigger than the one before it. And it keeps growing at a 5% rate. And the reason why I stopped this, well, 17 was a nice full screen of numbers without me doing anything drastic. Because the first payment, $9,587,000. Now, each payment is 5% bigger than the preceding payment. These are annual. So as you go year by year by year, look at this. In 17 years, it went from 10,000,005 to 20,000,009. So that's the miracle of 5% compounding, because with 17 cycles, annual increases of 5%, which is the nature of a 5% growing annuity, which I have on my column headings. In 17 years, the payment went from 9 million to 20 million. 10 million to 20 million. Can you imagine? So this annuity business is something to think about. When you have, now, believe me, I'm not a lottery official. I'm just talking, this is just talking these crazy numbers. Who knows who wins this stuff now? That's not the point. And we don't suggest you, do any of these lottery things, because the winning odds is terrible. You're better off just, getting yourself a nice cup of coffee somewhere. This is like listening to Jimmy talk for a couple hours. You have a couple of cups of coffee. It could be you're an insomniac and you can't go to sleep. Well, just put your headphones on and listen to Jimmy. You got a yak here. I always talk about something. I'm just talking about the presentation of numbers here. Any kind of numbers. These are easy numbers. You can see them in the public venue. So I have an interest in trying to be accurate with things that I show. So here you can see, I changed the presentation of the spreadsheet just like last night or something. So you can see straight a line. This is you see this? Tuesday, July 14th. So that was, a couple hours ago at 11 p.m. They do the drawing. They pick the numbers, these ping pong balls. They got them in machines and they spin around, and they don't come out in this order. They come out all kinds of different order. But they line them up when they publish the numbers on their application. They put in number order so it's easy. I don't know which one of these came out first, second, third. I didn't see the actual. This is what the lottery officials are publishing on their website, and I say, well, it's, we have no responsibility for publishing it correctly. Can you imagine? Yeah, I mean, if you read the fine print, even with the lottery officials, that's all estimated. We don't know. We don't know if it's right or wrong. So, go to your lottery retailer and verify your ticket. Don't call me. Anyway, this is the 34th. Remember that $500 million one? It was like the 27th or 28th drawing. This is 34. Will someone win the 34th drawing of the pulling of these numbers? Here it is. 2, 4, 10, 48, 56 with the Powerball 22. If you got all 6 of those, then and you decide jackpot is going to be lump sum, you're going to end up with 175 million in your checkbook. Because the one thing the lottery people are going to suggest, I read this somewhere on their site or somebody, I know it from some source, they're going to ask you to contact your banker because you want the routing and transmit number and your account number. So the R&T number, the routing and transit number, is a number that the Federal Reserve assigns to a particular bank. And then your next 10 digits, if it's 10 digits, is your account number within that bank. And that has a number. So you got, TD Bank, their routing and transit number is 0670148822. I have that ingrained in my memory, and I do not know why. I have this head like a steel trap. I see numbers, I work with them, and yeah, I think that's the number, 0670148822. You can dial it up and, what's the R&T number of TD Bank? That's what you're going to see. And then there's my account number, Marilyn and our joint account number at TD Bank, which I'm not going to broadcast because not that I'm, all deposits are appreciated. Unforeseen withdrawals are not appreciated. But, so between the R&T number, which is, that's a 9-digit number, all right? And then your account number is another, let's say, that's 18 numbers. You want to make sure you get them right because they're going to do what do they call it? They're going to do an ACH, Automatic Clearinghouse, ACH, that's what that stands for, Automatic Clearinghouse. They're going to do an ACH credit to your account for $175 million. Holy crap. Now, the TD Bank that the branch, TD branch banking system, there was a time where we didn't have branch banks in Florida. That took an act. That took the Florida. No, it's 12:30. My computer just told me in my headphones here. Bingo, there it is, 12:30. And 10 seconds, 11, 12, 13. Yeah. There was, in my life cycle, 20, 30, 40 years ago, I actually don't remember when branch banking became, you can Google it and, whatever. But there was a time, the day before that, it was effective, every bank had to be a separate bank. You didn't have branch banks. You just had big banks, little banks, and they couldn't, all be on the same balance sheet. Every bank had to have its own financial statement. And I remember Barnett Bank had, hundreds of banks all over the state. And they had every bank had a separate financial statement. Now they merged them all together and came up with a, fictitious, not fictitious, it was factually correct. But they'd add up all the numbers and say, this is what, if all of our banks were under one roof, this is what it would look like, although they're not. And they would have some kind of a pamphlet, and you could see that the bank had $4 or $5 billion worth of assets. But you had the Barnett Bank of Miami, the Barnett Bank of Miramar, the Barnett Bank of Orlando. I mean, you had 40 or 50 or 100, I don't know how many, Barnett banks of whatever. The logo looked like it had the shape of like a TV screen. Barnett Bank, yeah. Anyway, branch banking did come to pass. TD Bank, same thing. They got TD Banks everywhere, and it's a multi-billion dollar big bank. But the office that I deal with, it was maybe a $75 to $100 million branch. Well, when you call your branch manager, I'm making this up, of course. Just pretend. And you're calling your branch manager and say, "Hi there, Elizabeth. I'm an account holder at your marvelous branch. And I gave them my R&T number, which I believe for TD Bank is 14067014822. Isn't that right? She said, "Oh yeah, you can see it right on the bottom of your check, on the bottom left side of your check, and then on the bottom middle of your check would be your account number, and then there's a blank space because when the checks are processed, the actual check amount gets embossed with that magnetic ink over on the lower right side. I imagine they're still doing that. I don't write a lot of checks, so I don't see a lot of checks. I don't even think they send you the checks back anymore. You get a statement with, yeah. Anyway, so you say to Elizabeth, I'm making that up. I don't know who the branch manager is. And it's a particular bank that the managers come and go, but the branch stays there. So I'm saying Elizabeth is there. I don't know an Elizabeth in any of the branches I deal with. It's just that name just went into my head. Elizabeth, Miss Adams. My name is Harvey Frutzbratz. And, the lottery officials up there in Tallahassee tell me that I am the grand prize winner of $175,140,000 in cash after tax. And I'm going to deposit it in your marvelous branch. So I just wanted you to govern yourself accordingly when you see an ACH transaction that comes across tonight or tomorrow, whatever, I think it's tomorrow. Making that up. I don't want you to think it's a typo. It's coming from, and then I give her the lottery. People are going to tell me from where it's coming. And I actually don't know how they accumulate the money and where it's actually held, and what financial institution is holding this. In this case, it'd be $278 million in cash. And of course, you don't get that because $100 million of it gets withheld by the IRS and account for you. But if you can find a way of throwing together a lot of deductions to eat into some portion of that $100 million, it's $103 million. Holy crap. I mean, you subtract one from the other. Yeah, it's a little over $100 million in federal tax. But fortunately, taxes are not 100%. They're 37%. So 30%, if 37% is the tax, then 63% would be, they get their 37% and you get your 3%. Well, 63% of 278 million is 175 million because that number is the after tax. What does it say there? Jackpot lump sum payout after the federal income tax of 37%. I deleted a couple of columns because we're not accountants. We don't give financial advice. Most of you out there are not accountants and so forth, so the exact amount of who the hell cares, We want to know how much money sticks after the tax. So I figure, what column is most important? That $175 million column, that is an important column because that's after the federal tax. Now, if you live in a state where they tax your lottery winnings, Florida is not one of them, then you'd have to also file something with the state of wherever you are. You can Google it, what is the percent, if you live in New Jersey. What is the state tax on lottery winnings in New Jersey? Let's try that. Hey Siri, what is the state income tax on lottery winnings in the state of New Jersey? There it is. All right, right there in the top of your screen. There it is. I got my finger on it before it goes away. In New Jersey, it's only 3%. How nice. That is the tax rate, regardless of whether you live in New Jersey or not, as long as the reportable winning took place in New Jersey. Aha! That's interesting. So if you're driving through New Jersey, live in Pennsylvania, but you bought the ticket in New Jersey, guess what? You got to pay New Jersey 3% of your winnings, even if you live in Pennsylvania. Now that is... that sucks. Don't buy tickets in New Jersey unless you live in New Jersey. But that, so they didn't say. So I guess it's 3%, whether you live in New Jersey or not. Because if you bought the ticket in New Jersey, then they want their 3%. Hey Siri, what is the state income tax in New York for lottery winnings? There we go. Oh, Jesus. What did I just see? 18? Oh, there it is. In New York, you pay the state income tax of 18% on all winnings from lottery tickets. Additionally, you may have federal income tax on the winnings. Yeah, well, we do. You know, in this multi-million-dollar case, you're going to pay 37%, 47, 57, 55. Geez, 55% in New York State. 55% of your lottery winnings goes to the state of New York. Holy crap. Yeah. Ooh. Here's some more. This is for I don't want to know any of this stuff. What state is this? The state of New York. Holy mackerel. 18.4. How did they come up with 18.4? Why do they do that? Why don't they just say 19 or 18? 18.4? Really? What does that mean? How much tax do you pay on a $5,000 lottery ticket in New York? The answer is 18.4%. Plus, you got to pay federal income tax of 37%. So you add the two together, and it's whew, it's over 55% of your lottery price. You know, it makes you want to go hide under a rock. Anyway, the state of Florida, it's zero. These guys, they want the money because they're giving so much free stuff in New York. They're trying to figure out how to squeeze that, squeeze everybody so that they can continue to promise winnings, to promise stuff, including illegal aliens. Yeah. Pay those healthcare benefits to. All right, let's get rid of this. How do I get rid of it? Very interesting, huh? Woof. I would want to verify that from another source other than what I just did with the Google thingy here, or Hey Siri. But they go on the internet. God, holy crap! In New Jersey, they charge you where you bought the ticket, no matter where the hell you live. Okay, hey Siri, go to sleep. My whole thing is, Siri, turn off your micro. Don't listen to me anymore tonight. No, don't power off. No. Siri, would you leave me alone? And don't turn off my, whatever the thing, the iPad. God. Then you got this computer arguing with that computer. My computers are arguing with each other. In the meantime, in this other one, I'm looking over here. See, all this is this is a MacBook Pro. This is a MacBook Pro, the Air edition, which means it's a little bit thinner than the regular MacBook Pro. It's got the basic architecture is the same internally, but they have a different method for cooling off the processor. And my processor is, whoops, we don't want to shut that off. Well, yeah, see there, it turned itself off. I think it went all the way down. There we go. So, see, now I'm showing you the keyboard. I covered that up because there's no sense in wasting all the bit rate on all these little keys. Since I don't really type anything on the MacBook Pro Air during a broadcast or almost any time, I covered up with these black covered pieces of cardboard or whatever is underneath. So I got 3 of these, so I just spread them across. Anyway. Oh, so I was talking about the temperature. So if I were to run I have a laser temperature gun kind of a thing, and I can which tells you where to aim it, so forth. And the temperature of this is carved out of this machine out of a thick piece of a 3/8 inch piece or more. I don't know the actual thickness of the. It's less than 1/4 of an inch, but I don't know exactly how many millimeters thick it is. But it's heavy duty, big, and then they machine it. They say, well, the grinding's for the machining, and then melt it back up into aluminum. But if I run my fingers over this part, the processor, the M4 processing chip, and the supporting chips, they run about 95 degrees with the way in which the heat sink works. And it's got silicone something or other, and that chip is feeding its heat energy into this portion of the laptop. And if you rub your fingers down this part, it's not hot at all. It's not, it's like the ambient temperature here, which is 70 degrees, round numbers. But as you run your fingers up the edge of the sea, then it starts getting warmer, like up to about 90 degrees, something like that. So there's like a 20-degree temperature differential between the parts of the chassis of the MacBook Air. Now, in the MacBook Pro, they have little fans and little vents. In MacBook Air, there's no fans and no vents. It's a sealed situation. Which I'd rather have that kind of a situation because, I'm not processing like video, film, and all that kind of stuff. I do a lot of digital still image editing, which, between all the talking that I do is, not rapid. When you're dealing with an hour or 2 hour something that someone recorded, and then they give it to you to do digital imaging on, a 1 hour broadcast, let's just say. That takes up a lot of processing power, and you need fans to cool off that processing chip. But with the stuff I do, I don't need fans. So that's why I got the Air model. I've replaced this, like every 3 years for, let's say, the last 10 years. And, that's why I have the MacBook Air. Because I had the MacBook Pro. And then 6 years ago, maybe, I switched to the Air when Apple came out with an Air. I don't know. They haven't always had an Air model. Now, this year later, they're coming out with Now, the Apple exec said there's no way we're ever going to have a touch screen on the Mac, laptops. And I said, that's a bunch of bullshit. Almost every manufacturer of a laptop has touchscreen in addition to the keyboard. This Magic Keyboard is attached to my, my iPad here, iPad Pro. It's almost as powerful as the MacBook Air I have here, which is running the software that drives this broadcast over the internet. The simulcast, of course, Facebook dropped out for some reason. I have to figure out, I can't figure out why that's happening. I may be too small. I don't know. I'm paying up, for the, what do you call it? The Facebook Live. I think I'm paying up. And they're not broadcasting me. So I'm going to stop paying up. I'll just pay there's probably something you have to pay annually for Facebook. Anyway, I just had another sip of coffee. I'm sorry. I'm having I told you it's like having a couple of cups of coffee with Jimmy. Well, I got both cups in this 20-ounce tumbler with a lid on it, as you can see, and a blue straw coming out of it. It's better than, like I can sip the straw and not have to tip this all in. If I make a mistake, everything goes all over the keyboard. Yeah. So this is like a little sealed system. If I happen to knock it over with my hands, chances are the entire remaining of the coffee doesn't end up all over my keyboard here, which would louse it up big time. I do not want to have to try to figure out how to save this key. And, they don't give these away. The MacBook, the iPad Pro, it's a couple $1,000 item. I didn't pay that much when I originally got the MacBook Pro. I paid maybe $1,200, but it broke. It wouldn't take a charge. The battery would not accept the charge anymore. For some reason or other, the lithium battery cell that was in the iPad Pro failed to, take a charge. So, and it failed in such a way that even if I had it plugged in, I couldn't run the device. So it was just dead. I plug a valid 5.1 volt, charger thing in the socket over here. Wouldn't charge, wouldn't allow me to turn it on, so something failed within the electrical system, the low voltage. And it wouldn't take a charge. It wouldn't change, the battery wouldn't take a charge. So, I don't know what was wrong with that, but I called the insurance company, and filed a claim, and they said, Mr. Wilson, we'll ship a new one out to you right away. Just take the new one out of the box and put the old one back in, and then I get a UPS return. You just put that sticker on there and just give it to your UPS driver and get a receipt for it so you can prove that you did that. So in case it gets lost, you don't get hammered for another iPad Pro. So they sent me a brand new one. Yeah. And if you were to go buy one right now with the same specs as the one that I bought, it's like $800 or $900 more expensive than what I actually paid for it. Now I had to pay a couple $100, So I had to shoot, But $200 copay is better than $2,000 iPad. Anyway, so that's how I ended up with this brand new iPad. Is there was an insurance claim, and they sent me a new one. The one I had is out of production because it was like a 6-year-old iPad. So they had to send me a new one because they don't make the old ones anymore. That's another advantage of making sure you insure your stuff, because if it stops working, insurance company will send you another one. They didn't have an inventory in the ones I liked. The ones, with 2 terabytes of memory, and I make them. I wouldn't say I soup them up. It's not the proper vocabulary words, but I outfit them with almost as much storage memory as available. This is like 2 terabytes, which is 2,000 gigabytes in round numbers. And I think it's like my MacBook Air here is 32 gigabytes of RAM, random access memory. I don't know. The iOS devices, they don't tell you how much RAM there is. But if you get, if you spend money on the storage, they up the RAM, like from 12 gigabytes to 16 gigabytes. So, it's a lot smaller number. But, the MacBook Air is handling the simulcast with YouTube and Facebook. And there's a lot going on with the video and the production and the split screen and all this kind of stuff. Anyway, so I have my, see me shaking the image. You see it with me shaking with my finger, and you can see the image moving around over there on, yeah. It's just a little delay, right? There's about a 30, 40 millisecond delay because of the stuff moving around inside here before it goes over the air. But see, I have this cord right here. You can't hardly see it. It's black. See, it's on my finger. I have this plugged into one of the ports in my computer, the MacBook Air, so that the software system that I'm using, this is plugged into the video port like for another camera. I don't need another camera. It's bad enough I have to show you my profile, although I'm not actually in the picture unless I lean way forward. Yeah. Because I use all these old iPads. See, this is an old iPad. This is an elapsed timer. So I've been talking here 1 hour and 8 minutes and 58 seconds. That's how long the broadcast is. This iPad here is tuned into the local radar, so I can see what's going on with the weather in South Florida. This is my iPhone right here, which you can't see because, this is my iPhone. This over here is the correct time. That's another old iPad. So I got these old iPads all suspended around me so I can, see what time it is, how much time I've been talking. This iPad is connected to my, I have it running into the video port of the software package. It thinks it's a camera, but it's actually an iPad, which is very handy because I put pictures in a particular, in my favorites portfolio of pictures. I have like 100,000 pictures on the iPad. I'll show you this. I mean, this is like nuts, but I took a lot of pictures for FAU Sports, and Marilyn and I take a lot of pictures anyway. So if I show you the About page here, which, let me make sure. Yeah, you can see all this. So if I touch this is, see, up in the top left, you can see Jim Wilson, Apple account, iCloud and more stuff. So if I hit the About, let's touch About, and it's loading all the information up. There's a model number, the serial number, iPad 13-inch M4 chip. Tells the software version. Number of photos, 117,147. See it? I have 510 apps. I try to keep deleting apps I don't use. There is a software package you can get somewhere where it'll automatically figure out what apps you haven't really used, and then you can decide to get them off your system. You know, you're wasting space. Now, this iPad, I'm sorry to say, only has 1 terabyte of memory. And I only have 218 gigabytes available because, 780 gigabytes is used, to store all those pictures and, the 510 apps and 670 videos. That chews up a lot of space. I can go through those videos and get rid of some of them. I used to take a lot of videos of the fireworks outside my balcony, like on July 4th. I didn't actually do any videos. It was spectacular fireworks, but I got so much fireworks video, I don't need to do it anymore. So Marilyn does it. One of us is good enough. And, there's my Magic Keyboard, the software version. Yeah, I don't know if there's any updates for the Magic Keyboard, or much less how to do it. Anyway, here's my Bluetooth devices. Here's the cellular data, because I have the iPad is running through the cell system. Yeah.
It's 1 o'clock.
I don't see anything. Here's my personal hotspot. I have to use a personal hotspot to get the software updated on my Tesla, because there's no Wi-Fi in this garage that houses 200 families, including my son, my own. Anyway, so you've just seen the About page. 117,000 pictures. So that's why I need a lot of. I like to keep all the images on here, and it's up in the cloud. So in case I lose the iPad, it's backed up into the cloud. All right, here's the stocks. You can look at what happened with the stock market today. The Dow Jones was up 9. Well, when it's 52,009 is like, really? I mean, it's like 1/100th of 1%, 2/100th of a percent. Yeah. Tesla is up $1.40. SpaceX is down $3. Up and down. Apple's down a little bit. Nvidia is up a little bit. Disney is down a little bit. It's just some of the stocks that I happen to follow, but I have no cash in the stock market currently. Nope. Iran-linked vessels pass through Hormuz ahead of the U.S. blockade. Apparently there's, tomorrow or today or sometime by noon or